let's get right into it. Something huge is happening right now in the tech world. A massive split is forming, and it's completely changing who gets hired and where. We're calling it the Great H-1B Divergence.
And it all kicks off with this number, -46%. I mean, think about that for a second. That's the average drop in H-1B work visas for India's top 6 IT services companies. We're talking about a staggering falloff for the very companies that basically built their global empires on this visa. So that leads to a really big question, right? If these traditional giants are hitting the brakes, who's picking up all the top-tier tech talent from around the world? The answer? Well, it reveals a massive tectonic shift happening across the entire industry.
Okay, so first let's look at what we're calling the H-1B retreat. Why on earth would the pioneers of global IT outsourcing suddenly back away from a strategy that made them billions for decades?
And listen, this isn't just one or two companies getting cold feet. No, this is a whole sector-wide shift. You've got the big Indian IT firms, TCS, Infosys, Wipro. They're all pumping the brakes on H-1Bs. And it's the exact same story for global consulting giants like Accenture and Capgemini. They've cut their filings by an average of 44%. It's a clear trend.
And this is where it gets really interesting. As one side of the tech world is retreating, another is charging full speed ahead. It's creating what is essentially a tale of two techs, and they each have a completely different playbook for talent. Here's the split in a nutshell. On one side, you have the IT services and consulting firms. Their business model was always built on cost efficiency, and now they're moving away from H-1B visas. But on the other side, you've got US big tech and the cutting-edge AI labs. For them, it's all about product innovation, and these visas are actually more important than ever. And you can see this split clear as day in the actual data for fiscal year 2025. You know who the single largest sponsor of H-1B visas was? It wasn't an IT services firm. It was Amazon. Now, don't get me wrong, India's TCS is still a huge player, right there at number 2. But the trend is just undeniable. The center of gravity for H-1B demand has moved, and it's moved decisively over to US-based tech giants. So, here's the crucial question. Why? Why is this retreat happening on the Indian IT side? Well, it's not just one thing. It's more like a perfect storm of business pressure, politics, and some incredibly powerful new technology. First, there's just the simple business reality of it all. US immigration rules have gotten way more complex and way more expensive. That old model of bringing in huge numbers of workers, it's just not as cheap or as easy as it used to be. The paperwork, the fees, all the uncertainty, it really starts to add up. Then you've got the political climate. There's this growing pressure in Western countries to protect local jobs. And with potential new laws being kicked around, like the HIRE Act, which is designed to literally tax outsourcing, well, you can see the writing on the wall. The political winds have definitely shifted.
And finally, we have the biggest disruptor of them all, artificial intelligence. Generative AI is now capable of automating so many of the tasks that were the absolute bread and butter of the old outsourcing model. This isn't just a minor challenge for them, it's a full-blown existential threat to the old way of doing business. Okay, so now let's flip the coin and look at the other side of this great divergence, because while AI is a threat to the old model, it's the very reason that US tech firms are in an absolute all-out race for global talent. See, for companies like Google or Microsoft or the new AI labs, the goal is totally different. They're not just trying to complete a project for a client. They're trying to invent the future. And to build and scale revolutionary AI products, they believe they need the world's most specialized engineers working together, side by side, physically in the US. And just look at how fast this is all happening. Take OpenAI, the lab behind ChatGPT. Back in 2021, they sponsored just 11 H-1B visas. Last fiscal year, 76. That isn't just growth, that's an explosion. It just shows you the insatiable demand for that top-tier AI talent. And it's not just OpenAI. Nope, Anthropic, another leading AI lab, backed 41 H-1B applications just last fiscal year. These new AI powerhouses are very quickly becoming major forces in the global talent market. And believe me, they are just getting started. So when you put these two stories together, the retreat of the old guard and the aggressive push from the new guard, you start to see that this is about so much more than just visas. What we're actually witnessing is a fundamental restructuring of tech work itself.
I want to let this quote from immigration expert Russell A. Stamets just sink in for a moment. He argues that what looks like a political issue on the surface is actually just a symptom of a much, much deeper shift in technology and economics. The very nature of work is being rebuilt from the ground up. Let's be really clear about what's coming to an end here. The old model, the way experts like Stamets describe it, was basically about exporting discounted labor. And look, it was a brilliant strategy for its time. But now, it's incredibly vulnerable. It's getting squeezed by political changes on one side and by the disruptive power of AI on the other. So, here's the big takeaway. This is the new reality of tech. You have two totally different, diverging strategies. The IT services firms, they're pivoting. They're focusing on hiring locally, nearshoring, and automation. Meanwhile, US tech and AI giants are doubling down on importing elite, highly specialized global talent to build whatever comes next. And that leaves us with one final and, I think, crucial question. As AI continues to reshape pretty much everything, and these two strategies go head-to-head, who is ultimately going to win the global war for talent?